Hi, everybody. I'm Dee Lisa. I'm the Dream Doula. I help you tap into the intuition that comes every night in Dreamland to live your best life.
Hey everybody, I'm Daisy Katherine, and I'm just existing happily, healthily, and wealthily.
I love that. You know, some people don't think they're existing yet. Here they are alive, having a conversation with us. And so they are existing. Most people were just kind of getting by, plodding from one day to the next day to the next day, kind of hating their life. Although before we hit record, we were talking about imposter syndrome. So let's start the conversation with that. There is no woman that I know. I don't know about men. There's no woman I know who hasn't started to up level their life or up spiral their life in some way and not hit imposter syndrome. Like, who am I to do this? People in my family don't do things like this. I don't have the degree. I don't have the, I still feel that way when I'm talking to people. They're like, well, how'd you get into what you do? I'm like, what I really want to say is I don't have a degree in that. Like, instead of saying, I've been thinking about this my entire life, like, what's up with you?
Yeah, yeah, it's so true.
Um, how do you see imposter syndrome
I
experiencing?
mean, the exact same way. Quite frankly, I think it's so much more than just imposter syndrome for me. I think it's ancestral damage, emotional, spiritual damage, low self esteem, and feeling unworthy. I mean, none of my parents didn't graduate from, I mean, they graduated from high school, but that's just about it. I went to college, I got my associates, and there was almost there's almost like a generational feeling of incompetence that comes with that has come with my essence for, I mean, just as far as I can remember. And it took truly looking at my circumstances and saying I am far more uncomfortable with the way my life is looking than having the audacity to do something that I know is rooted in me and it's possible to accomplish. So it took me quite literally just being so done with everything outside of me to finally be like, you know what, I even though I'm afraid, I am fearful of taking action and speaking and using my voice, it is far more startling to sit here and settle for mediocrity. So that's what it
Yeah.
kind of like.
Oh,
I was cornered.
that's so beautifully put because I think that especially for women, there is an ancestral trauma that all of us have, especially if we're in the healing arts or what people call woo woo. You know, is it is it witchcraft? Are we going to get killed? Can we really speak out and say that this it's
Oh,
okay to say witchy things now. No one is gonna, arrest us and burn us at the stake. But still, I think that that ancestral trauma for the healers and the midwives and the people who could see things and know things, those were dangerous people that used to be killed.
you know, it's interesting you say that because I still argue with myself about this regularly. I'm a Christian woman. I believe in God, and I I think since I was a child, I can, and I know this sounds so out there, and I've never said this to anyone outside of my very close proximity, which are very few people, but I can see demons, and I've always had this gift, and it's not like I see like some monster. It's not like that. It's more of like I can see the layers behind uh, reality as many see it versus how I perceive it. But anyway, it's gotten me in so much trouble throughout the years because I can see what people's true intentions are as they act, and I tend to call people out on things through a place of innocence. And this is like coming from a child, like an innocent child perceiving something that not many can actually perceive, and saying like, "Hey, that's not X, or that's not Y, or that's not Z." And it's gotten me in so much trouble, and I shut my gifts off for so many years. But I'm so glad you even brought this up. I wasn't expecting to have this conversation here today, but I genuinely am confused at times because I am a woman of Christ and I was given this gift, and I'm like, what teeters on what is morally correct in terms of alignment with, God's will for me. So yeah, I still ask myself about this all the time.
So as a child, you would speak truth about something and it would freak out the adults.
Yes, it would cause hell on my life as a child, like actual
Yeah.
hell on my life.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Wow. Yeah, there are lots of stories about people who could, who there's so many levels to reality. There's this waking life where people think this is real. We all agree that this is real. We have cars, we drive the cars, we eat food, we eat the food. But there are so many other levels that some people have the gift of seeing, like psychic mediums can see dead people. I can't see dead people,
I don't
but
have
I
that.
that it's I'm sure it's real. It's real to them. And when they were kids and they're like, hey, grandma's just died, or they're saying, so and so has a heart problem, and they're like, you're 5, you don't know that.
Yeah, yeah. It
And
just
then
sound
when it comes true, they're like, it's scary. People don't want to know the rest. They don't want to know that you can see something they can't see, because what does that mean
yeah.
about them?
Right, exactly. Is how is that perceived? And then it's like, how can you claim to be a woman of Christ if you're sitting here saying you can see demons? Like it sounds contradictory. So I can't
Hmm.
quite make sense of it, but I know it was given to me for a very specific reason. And actually that's mostly why I decided to finally step forward and I guess like just get on this podcast and talk about things and finally use my voice and gifts and connect with others who have the same gifts so that we can further enlighten minds. And that's really what all of this is about.
Yeah. Yeah. And so if you can see demons, can you see angels too?
I have felt angels. I have felt the
Mm-hmm.
presence of a- angels, and people have told me like what you're feeling is the Holy Spirit, and I'm like, you're telling me something that, but I know something else. Like I know it's an angel. I understand the Holy Spirit and it's not the Holy Spirit. But again, that contradicts my Christianity. It's like if you're a Christian woman and you claim to feel angels, but the only angel you ought to be feeling is the Holy Spirit, that doesn't align. I will say angels are far they don't make themselves as known in the present. They're kind of like a few layers back in terms of like feeling, if that makes any sense. It is the
Mm-hmm.
demons who are very prominent. I see them regularly. And there are two different ways in which a demon can appear, or the way I perceive them to appear. One, they can be latched onto people, meaning they haven't entirely possessed an individual, but they're kind of like hovering over them, and it's a very interesting thing to witness because it's how do you tell someone, hey, you 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 have a demon latched onto you, for lack of better words. And then there are demons who have like just taken over a human body, full possession. And there's almost not almost there is a sense of acceptance from the human self who has agreed to permit this demonic entity to perpetrate them. It's very interesting, and all of this spiritual stuff, it's without words. You perceive based off what you see and feel and witness. A professional observer, we'll call it that, a professional observer of life, of people, of things. And I suppose it's not most wise to say where I've seen demonic entities in specific organizations, but I will say that I have seen demonic entities in incredible places of power where they have incredible ability to make decisions. And it is startling amongst many innocent people. And it is startling. It is startling.
Wow. So you can, I'm not even going to ask you because I'm like, I bet there's demonic possessed people in politics.
Oh, oh,
And never
worser.
mind. La la
Think
la. Let's not
worser.
even.
I'm just kidding. But yes, and yes, yes, and yes, and there's more.
Um, I actually read a self-published book recently and I kind of poo-pooed it, but now that I'm talking to someone who can see demons, these people did. were professional exorcists. And so they helped people get rid of their demons and they could see them. And I was
Mhm.
like, oh, that's not true. I don't believe in demons. I believe in angels.
There are
I,
both. Where there
I
is
believe,
yang, there is yang.
yeah, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, I think that it's very interesting to talk to people who have gifts and talents that I don't have. So seeing things that I can't see, I like to teach people in my world how to tap into this kind of invisible world of intuition. Like, should I go right or should I go left? Should I date that guy or should I break up with that guy? Should I take that job? Should I not take that job? Every single one of us knows. And even if we're pretending like we don't know what to do next, you know the right thing to do next. You don't always want to. You don't always want to do
That's
it,
very true.
but your intuition will remind you or connect you or like break something so you have to go this other way. Um, like have you ever been in a hurry to go somewhere, but suddenly you can't find your keys? And then you look around the house and you look around your purse and you look in all your pockets and then you find your keys. It's 5 minutes later or whatever. And you drive down the road to where you're going. And on the way, there's a terrible accident. And you think, oh, so glad I couldn't find my keys because I would be right here in this terrible accident. So I think that sometimes our intuition is so like unconscious. We don't even know we hid the keys from ourselves so that we could not get into that car wreck. Um, on the other hand, you've probably had this too. It's like you're thinking about somebody, then they call you. Or
Yep.
you're thinking about somebody and you see them in a random place where you wouldn't expect. One day I was thinking about these two people. Wanted to do a function. We were going to do a sound bath meditation thing together. And I was like, I should call them. Oh, what's their number? No, I should text them with it, or I should email all day long. I was like, I should call them, text them, email them. I didn't do any of it. The day goes by and I was like, I didn't call him yet. I didn't. And then I'm driving home from a function and it's 10 p.m. and I'm thinking, really hungry for potato chips. And then I was like, don't eat potato chips. No, I'm really hungry for potato chips. Don't eat potato chips. Oh, there's only one store still open in my tiny little town. It's Vaughn's. I hate Vaughn's. Don't go to Vaughn's. So anyway, I go to Vaughn's. I buy the potato chips. I'm walking to my car with my bag and I hear, hey, D. Lisa, in the parking lot right next to my car are those people. The people I was thinking about all day long.
Oh.
Parked next to my car. So then I was like, oh, I've been meaning to call you all day long, blah, 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 blah. So, so fascinating. Like I wanted to talk to them,
Mhm.
and there they were.
So was it, and I have to ask just again the observer thing, but is it a sense of avoidance that you don't act on immediately? And I'm not saying you because we all do this, but like is it a sense of avoidance when you choose to think about other things and choose to do other things instead of taking action on what I perceive to be divine guidance by the Holy Spirit is how I perceive that. But I mean at
Yeah,
the end
that
of
was divine guidance. And even though I didn't do, it was
it
divinely
still worked
put together
out.
for me. It's like you are going to talk to these people.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
my question to you is was it a sense of avoidance, I suppose? Like do you struggle with avoidance in day-to-day things, relationships, thoughts, places, situations, career, whatever it may be?
Oh, good question. You know, I do move forward on a lot of things, and then there are other things that I put off until tomorrow. Like there's a two business cards in the other room of ladies I need to call and make an appointment to go join the local gym. Do I want to exercise? Not really. Do I want to join the local gym? Not really. Am I going to? Yes. Have I called him yet? No. And a referral to another dentist. Do I like my teeth? Yes, I like teeth. So am I going to call the dentist eventually? Maybe tomorrow. So yeah, that's there's the avoidance, and probably anyone listening to this is like, wow, what am I avoiding? And why don't I just do it? Because the idea that if you have 20 things to do and you can get them all done today, do the one that's hardest first. That's like back in the 80s, they called that eating the big frog.
Eating the big
You're
frog.
like,
I like
you're
that.
gonna you're gonna eat the big frog first, and then everything else falls into place because the thing that was the hardest is the thing you do first, and then everything is easy.
Yeah, yeah. There was
Um,
someone that I met on a park bench once who I still I'm like, was he an angel in physical form? Anyway, he said to me, a wise man never solves big problems because he does it. It was along the lines of like a wise man never solves big problems because he solves them while they're small. And
oh,
yeah, he quoted it way better than I'm just mimicking what I remember the message being, but it was, yeah, something. The wise man never solves big problems because he takes care of them while they're small. The same concept as like nip it in the bud, take care of it now. But again, we all struggle with avoidance, and it's typically in situations that require us to be uncomfortable, discomfort, or maybe disinterest even, but still necessary in order to move forward. And many times, and I'm sure you've dealt with this as well, it is that very action that has to be taken that's going to then reveal the next step forward. And that's kind of the the silliness of it. Many times I've experienced delaying something because just procrastination. I don't want to do that. I don't like it. It's not the moment you do it, it's like the next step, the next level in life reveals itself. And it's like, man, if I were to have known that this is what would have happened if I would have just done the thing, then I would have done it sooner. It's
that's
so
so
silly.
beautifully put, Daisy. That's so beautifully put because um, if you're going for a big goal or dream, first of all, you have to decide you're going to do it. Just the decision is part of what moves you forward, but then you have to take a step. You have to take any step, any tiny little step toward that thing you want to do. And sometimes it's the thing that you don't want to do. But if you do it, yes, then your next step is revealed. And you do that, and your next step is revealed, and on and on and on. As my mentor says, tiny baby steps will take you up a mountain.
Sure will, one step at a time. And it is a journey. It is a very, very long journey. Sometimes I definitely feel like I've ran myself in circles many a times in complete avoidance of just doing things that I know I ought to be doing. But and the thing is, I mean, I turn 28 a month from now, and I'm old enough to know better. I've gone through many life experiences. I'm old enough to know better. Like, just do it, lady. That's what I tell myself now. Just do it, lady.
Yes. And sometimes when we think we don't know what to do next, we can ask for guidance and get it while we're sleeping.
And most of the time, it's already gifted to us. We already know what to do, and we're just like, what else? What else? Something else that's not that. I've struggled with that. I don't know if you have. I'm sure you have, but yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So you know you have to do this thing, but you don't want to. You're like, why don't I do this other thing instead? Oh, wait. And it's like, you
Yes.
still have to do this thing. It's like, why don't I do this other thing instead? And you're just like, mm. So, what have you been avoiding lately?
This,
Talking on a
this.
podcast. Yeah.
Yeah, I
And
my
why?
nerves get so my stomach just turns into a knot, and I'm like, I'm very introverted. Whenever I get comfortable with somebody, it's fine, but like in crowds, talking to people, especially speaking opinions and thoughts, and like you said earlier, woo-woo things, I think again, my whole life it's just put me out of the inner circle of people. Like, oh, she's weird, we're not friends with her. I've always been the outsider because of who I am. And so this is what I've been avoiding. Today is a revolutionary day. If I told you the last 4 months I spent trying to build something that I didn't even want to build for the sake of avoiding this, and I'm having fun now. So, like, what the heck, dude? Like, what?
Right on. It's like, ooh, was it fun? After you do something really scary, and I used to work on boats when I couldn't swim.
Oh man, that's
Ironic.
scary.
I used to take people out into I was the skipper of the boat. I would take people out into the ocean fishing and then bring them back at the end of the day. And I was terrified every day that I wasn't really that skilled at docking this boat. And
Uh-huh.
so every day I was like, I hope I don't smash into the dock. I hope I don't smash into the dock. I hope I don't take out all the other boats on the way in. I was like, I had these catastrophe images in my head. I was like, is the wind blowing? Oh my God. It was a 50-foot boat. So it was like a big deal if I smash it up. Every day it was fine. And then I go home and like, I was so relieved. First of all, I didn't die. I didn't kill anybody. I didn't smash the boat into the dock. Yay, life is great. But it was terrifying. And so what do we do? Might be the question for any listener if you're still tuned in. What do you do to terrify yourself with your own mind when things are
Countless.
really going to work out great?
Mhm.
Instead of imagining, I'm going to take the boat out, everybody's going to have fun, we're going to catch a lot of fish, we're going to come back, celebrate. I'm like, I hope I don't hit the dock. I hope I don't hit the dock. um, Terrifying myself all day. And I think that people, especially if you're starting a business as a woman and or running a business or expanding your business, you're thinking thoughts that might be terrifying you. Like, what if I don't get another client? What if I don't make the amount of money I want? What if I have to get a real job?
That one's crossed my mind several times.
What if I have to go get a real job? Ooh, what would I do? Yeah.
When it comes to those types of fears, I've kind of succumbed to reverse engineering. I tell myself, okay, what is the worst case scenario? In your case, the boat crashing someone's boat. Worst case scenario, it happens. What happens after that? Perhaps I get fired. Perhaps I lose this friend circle. Perhaps I lose these connections. Perhaps I have to pay fees or whatever to fix the boat. Um, which again, if you're an employee and signing contracts, they have to have some sort of insurance. Like there has to be, it wouldn't fall on you in that way. So that's like worst case scenario. Can you survive without this inner circle? Can you survive without this job? Can you survive without the connections or whatever it was that activity in your life offered you in your overall world? And typically we will come to find, yeah, I can live without all of that. If my as long as your physical life isn't on the line, which you did mention that you didn't know how to swim in relating to ocean, so that could be startling. I mean, life vest, I suppose, but
I was like, listen, I would tell people, listen, don't, they're like worried that back in the day that a woman skipper was running the boat. I said, don't worry. Oh, I can't swim. We're coming back. We're coming back on this boat. And they're like, what? You can't swim? Never mind. If we fall overboard, it's the northwest, it's the Washington coast. It's 50-degree water, 46-degree water. We're going to die in 20 minutes anyway from
oh
hypothermia.
no. Okay.
We're not going to swim around. Oh, no, 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 don't worry. And so, like that, thinking that through in the most desperate terms, it's like if I fall overboard, we're all going to die. Yeah,
Yeah,
well,
yeah. I
yeah,
mean,
yeah.
brutally honest is what it is. And I tried to convince my mom of that. I used to be a flight attendant. This is many years, not many years. I mean, like within the last 6 years. But
Mm.
and my mom was terrified of flying, and I also have a cousin who's terrified of flying, a cousin on my mom's side. And I'm like, worst case scenario, the plane combusts and you die. You probably will not feel it. You probably won't. That's just realistic. That's a worst case scenario. But what it was ultimately wasn't a fear of flying, it was a fear of dying, which is a whole other thing. That's a spiritual endeavor that I cannot convince you of through logic. That is a personal journey that you have to walk with whatever it is you may believe in. But yeah, so it doesn't have to do with like the fear of flying. It's like, I'm afraid to die. He's like, I don't want to die. I'm like, oh, I see what it is. That's your fear. Like you're afraid of dying. And typically people who are afraid of dying are people who don't have any spiritual connection to anything. So
Yes, because they think that the death is the end of everything.
yeah, exactly, exactly.
Yeah,
So and that's
yeah.
something you can't really. I mean, that's like deep work that you would have to like work with somebody on. That's not necessarily what I don't do that. So yeah, I was just like, well, I guess you can't. You're not going to fly. Where are you going to go? You're not going to travel the world? Because, I mean, I suppose fear of death is a very big one. I am not afraid of dying, so I can't relate to that.
I love that. I remember working with a naturopath years ago, and the mantra she had for me was, "I didn't come here to die. I came here to live." Because at that moment I was afraid of dying.
Oh, okay.
And it was like, I came here to live. I came here to live. I came here to live.
I suppose
And
it's a bit of both though, because we did come here to live, but we also came here to die. The only thing that's guaranteed with life is death.
true.
Not to be morbid.
And
But,
the only thing guaranteed with life also is change.
oh, absolutely,
So
yes.
it's like the only constant in life is change. So if you want everything to stay the same,
Yeah.
guess what? It's not gonna stay the same. People
And
who
you
need
don't want it
that,
to.
no, it would be boring. It would be so boring. Oh my gosh. I love it. So we've talked about overcoming imposter syndrome, sort of. Like
Good.
how do we overcome imposter syndrome? Is we just realize that everybody has it. Um, Way famous people have said, "Yeah, I felt like an imposter," including people like Oprah Winfrey and really high level people who, at a certain point in time, they're like, "Oh, who am I to do this?"
Yeah. One thing
Who?
I've kind of had to plant into my brain is going back to the qualifications. Well, what does qualify me if my like learning background may or may not. And something I've had to like ingrain into my mind is like I am the solution. I am the information needed. I am what is required. So that's something that I've kind of like almost brainwashed myself into believing is like I already am the solution. It's not about what I've done, it's about who I am.
Hmm.
That's just kind
And
of that's my best advice. Believe that you are what they need.
oh, that's so beautiful because uh, since the beginning of time, there have been people teaching wisdom about how life works, how we should think about this and that. And the religions of the world have morphed and changed. But if you look into every major religion, they teach the same basic framework, which is love is the basis for everything. And so when I'm teaching spiritual concepts, I'm like, it's not. I didn't dream this up. The law of the power of making a decision. Henry David Thoreau wrote about it. After you've made a decision, all kinds of things fall into place. I'm very much paraphrasing him. The power of the law of circulation. So what you're giving is what you're getting. And if you want to have more fill in the blank, give that out. If you want more love, give love. If you want more time, give time. If you want more money, give money. Like that is written in all the spiritual texts as well.
Mhm.
And the law of forgiveness that unlocks so much. So
I struggle with that.
the law of forgiveness,
Oh, I
yeah.
sure do. I
Here's
mean,
what I like to teach people is that you are not forgiving the thing that happened or the thing that person did to you. You're forgiving their unskillful behavior.
well, that I surely can recognize and have recognized. Like, yes, how spiritually unwell must an individual have been to perform the acts that they did against me. I can understand that through a logical sense, but I mean, I think because why I struggle this is because I still carry so many symptoms of an incident or a consistent type of incident. Um, Even to this day, and that is that I don't even have certain people in my life anymore who may allegedly have caused things. I say that like I'm in any kind of legal situation. But anyway, yeah, because I still deal with the symptoms, and it's almost like an ebbs and flows. Like sometimes I'm just like yes, like they didn't spiritually know any better. Emotionally, they didn't know any better, and I get that, but in the moments when I recognize these symptoms of the past still coming up and making their way into my present, that's when I'm like, man, like I can't forgive you. But yeah, it ebbs and flows.
Yeah, yeah. And yeah, what I teach people in the forgiveness part of my work is from the Course in Miracles, which is every act is either a call for love or an expression of love. And even though it might be unskillful. So to imagine that someone even harming another human is in their unskillful way a call for love, it seems so twisted and so effed up. And also you're like, oh, okay, I get that. And no, what you did is unforgivable. That act is not okay, but I can forgive the human behind the unskillful behavior for doing the unskillful behavior. It's a really fine line, especially if some really bad shit has happened to someone. They're like, no, unforgivable.
I
But
see completely. I think where I struggle is the differentiation between forgiveness and accepting. I
mm,
everything you're saying, I completely accept that perspective of it being a cry for love, coming
yeah,
from a place of love. Like I see that. I can like root that back and I can accept that. But can I forgive it? Who's to say?
yeah, yeah. One of the exercises, the example was because the woman who's my mentor was a minister in a spiritual community for 40 years. And so she had a lot of people come tell her their stories. And she said to this one guy, you need to do some forgiveness work. And how is that going? She said after he wandered away for a week, she goes, I can't, this is what I said, he said to her. I forgive you unless a big log rolls on you and kills you. I forgive you unless that car smashes into you. I forgive you, like he would imagine forgiving this person and harming them in the
That
same
doesn't, yeah.
thought until he got to the point where he could imagine this person that he really could not forgive
Hmm.
as a child. And he said, I transposed his face with this little child's face because I could forgive the little child. So after a while of doing that, he realized that the forgiveness work he was doing released him because he saw this guy on the road one day and he's like, ooh, what a cool car. And he's like, oh, that's my ex-brother-in-law driving that car. And I don't feel like I hate him right now. I guess that forgiveness work worked. Nice
Hmm.
car, man. But sometimes it takes months or years of doing the work because really, when you're doing forgiveness work, you're not telling them it's okay. You're not acknowledging that what they did was fine. You're not any of that. You're just untangling yourself from
Hmm.
their energy.
Which is necessary because yes, energy does transpire very much so. I think I've spent many years just on the acceptance phase, accepting and moving on. But I suppose moving on doesn't come without forgiveness, which is there are still strings there for me. It's a work in progress. I mean, it's like at 27 years old now, majority of my life was living in that trauma. So it's only been a few handful of years that I've been out, like undoing all of that. So, I mean, yeah, it's been a while of just accepting, moving on, and accepting responsibility because a lot of times, and I say this from personal experience, when we experience a surplus and abundance of trauma throughout many years from something like a parental figure, um, we tend to blame everything on our trauma and on our symptoms and what we went through, which is understandable to a degree, of course. But there comes a time where we have to accept responsibility for who we are and what we're doing now. And that's the trick. That's the trickiest part right there is is saying like, yes, this person acted in these ways, and yes, it affected me so deeply and so gravely, and it completely changed the way I show up in the world in every aspect, but I have to now accept responsibility for all of it. Whether I like it or whether I do not, I have to accept responsibility for all of it to begin to undo those knots. And I mentioned earlier, like, oh, I get anxiety in my stomach, like knots. So many years of that, of I guess those triggers, if you'll call them, of like a development of those knots in my stomach. I mean, even to this day, they're not undone. It doesn't matter, how much healing I do. There comes a time where taking action and responsibility is the only way forward. There's only so much you can learn about yourself in the mind before actions have to now replace all of what you learned through therapy and whatever other courses you may have taken, or whatever it is you have learned about yourself and how to move forward and move on in a happier, healthier life. It all boils down to the action. That's when the change really occurs. But yeah, that was a really big one, especially for younger me, was, oh, I have to accept responsibility for what was done unto me, like the audacity, but yes, yes, very much so. It is the catalyst for change in our lives.
And that I don't know if you believe in this, or if your Christian upbringing will allow you to think that I love this because I got it from my minister friend here in town. She's like, we came from somewhere before we were born. Let's imagine. And we're going to go somewhere after we die, to that same place, I think. It's just like, so just imagine you're up there with the angels. You're designing your life. You're deciding who you're going to hang out with, what you're going to do. And then they say to you, just like in the movie E.T., if you need help, you can call home. Bye. And then we have a life. And I love the concept that we chose, which I really resisted when I first heard this. We chose our parents, we chose our friends, we chose our main things that happened to us in life, and to learn on a soul level. And it's like, I would not choose this.
I thought
When
that
we're
before.
when we're in this dream of life, we're like, no, I wouldn't choose this. This is terrible. But most really terrible things that we went through in life brought us to some wisdom that we couldn't have possibly had from just like hanging around, watching TV and reading books and having a super easy chill life. That that hard thing
Mhm.
helped us blossom into who we are.
Yeah, they're necessary challenges in order to up level to our purpose. Essentially, I definitely agree with a lot of what you're saying. I also have resisted the idea of like, I chose this, like, but
Yeah. Yeah.
but I agree, because we choose who we are on this earth, and who we are on this earth has to be molded through a series of challenges, much like a video game. We have to, and it's not about like passing or losing per se. I mean, I kind of perceive it in that way, but I think I choose to do that rather than how it actually may be in terms of like spiritual.
Mm.
Yeah, like you were just saying, we would not be who we are today. We have to be molded. We have to kind of find our craft of perseverance through challenges. And I definitely agree. Absolutely. We have to face challenges, and overcoming them is what really builds that self character and is what aligns us further and further with our purpose.
Right on. Well, we've got about 10 more minutes left on the clock here, and I want to talk about dreams before we pop off.
Yeah,
You told me that you remember your dreams and you write your dreams down.
I
And
do.
for how many years have you been doing that?
It's been a fifth, maybe 3-ish years. I really have
Okay.
gotten into journaling, probably, yeah, 3 to 5 years.
And has it been what's the most interesting thing about journaling your dreams that has happened for you so far?
Well, a couple of things. I believe that, and again, I go back to God, Christ shows me visions of truth that are downloads, if you'll call it that, often sent in dreams. That's probably the most interesting thing. And of course, there's some that reflect waking life in very mysterious ways. What about yourself? What's been your most interesting?
Oh my gosh. The first dream I remember, I was a little kid, and that was a lucid dream because in the dream, these it's I'll tell the dream again. Sorry for people who have heard this already. I'm probably 4 or 5 years old because it was before I ever went to school. And in the dream, I'm walking in this place that's real. My aunt and uncle live next door. So I'm walking underneath their deck and it's raining. I'm in Seattle. It's raining. The rain's dripping down on my head and I see like water pooled up by my feet. And I'm just walking in this dream. And then I notice over my shoulder, rub-a-dub-dub, 3 men in a tub. Real men in this big barrel. And one of them scrubbing his back. Bubbles are coming over the edge of this thing. Such a perfect image for a kid's dream. Like one of them smoking his cigar, one of them scrubbing his back. I don't know what the third guy's doing. And the cigar smoking guy says, "Hey, little girl, come over here." I said, "No." He said, "Yes, you have to." I said, "I don't have to do anything. This is my dream. And if I want to, I can just wake up." And he said, "No, you can't." And I said, "Watch." And in the dream, I squeezed my eyes shut really, really tight. And when I opened them, I was in my bed.
Wow.
And I was like, wow. I went right back to sleep thinking I could go back into the dream and go neener, neener, neener. But I did
Told
not.
you.
I did not go back into that dream. And I didn't really think about lucid dreaming for years and years and years. But I've been writing down my dreams for more than 30 years,
Oh,
maybe
wow.
40.
Wow.
Um, some dreams are like, tell me what to do. Some dreams are just blah blah blah.
Yeah.
And I've been told like break up with that guy. I was told what to name my daughter. Um, Sometimes I feel like I'm learning, like you feel like you get downloads in dreams. Sometimes I feel like I'm learning things, but when I wake up, I couldn't really tell you what it was. It's just already knowledge I would have somewhere.
Mhm.
One day I dreamt, I can't remember the dream, but it seemed like I was in 7 different places simultaneously, having 7 different conversations or learning 7 different things.
Oh,
And
wow.
then I came back into my body and woke up. And I was like, what? What was that? I couldn't
Oh,
remember any of it because it was beyond. But I believe we can go talk to dead relatives who've passed over, talk to God and the angels, get knowledge that we can't be conscious of in this waking state. All of it in dreamland.
yeah. Yeah. I definitely agree for sure. Very interesting. I love dreams. I love them very much. And I love that you have so much spiritual power to be able to recognize in that dream, like, no,
Uh,
I don't have to. Like, goodbye. That's
Goodbye, my
spiritual power.
dream. Um, and yeah, that was really interesting as a little kid to have that dream. And the fact that when I talk to people now, I say, listen, I'm a dream doula. Tell me a dream. And then people will tell me sometimes a dream they've had for 32 years, a recurring nightmare. And then when we're talking about it, I'll just ask them a question that unlocks the dream. Like 32 years. I never thought about that. It's like, sometimes we need to just say it to someone else to get the meaning, if there's a meaning inside of there.
One that I think, well, there are a couple that stand out to me right now, but they're pretty straightforward to me the way I interpreted them anyway. One of them, this was maybe a few months ago. No, 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 more than that. Within the last year, actually, it's been a while. Sometimes they're so at the forefront that they feel recent, but no, that's not true. I dreamt that I was observing a baptism. And I lived in Mexico at the time when I had this dream. I was observing a baptism, and there were two white men, tall white men in suits that were like performing the baptism, and I was utilizing my gift to observe them, and I'm talking about the gift of demonic visibility. and
Mm-hmm.
I saw that they were actually doing a demonic ritual, and there were hundreds of millions of people getting this baptism, giving their life to Christ, but it was actually a demonic ritual, and these two like demonic men. Oh, and it's funny because you said that guy was like, come here. It was like a similar thing where, and this is the thing about demonic entities, is that they can witness when they're being witnessed. They can watch you watch them. Anyway, so he recognized me watching him, and he said the same thing, like, come here. And I knew what he wanted to do to me, and I
And you're
forgot.
like, no.
I think I just woke up. I just decided no, and I woke up. But that was one, and I don't know why this all boils down to like the, not all of my dreams, but the ones that are most prominent relates to demonic entities. There was another one where a cousin of mine, um, and this one, I'm sorry. Okay, I got to go back and mention because there are so many layers to this. So I lived in Mexico at the time. I moved now to a different state here in the U.S. And one of the demonic entities that I told you about earlier uh, is the head of a very large organization church where I am. But those are two different timelines, right? I was in a whole different country when I had that dream, and then when I was here, I witnessed the demon in a this place of a very large organization here. And I immediately put two and two together because I've been in the game of like understanding spiritual intuition for a hot minute now. And I've always had it since a kid. I just chose to turn it off for a long time. But anyway, moving on to the next one was, and this one kind of made me aware to how people can unconsciously and unknowingly unleash demons into the world without even knowing, like out of pure innocence, out of pure, like, I just don't know any better. Um, and I see this in the waking world as I do in the dream world. In this dream, my cousin, she had like this big old house, and I had to use the restroom, and I went to use the bathroom, and I went into the wrong room, and there was like this little chamber. There were two chambers, and she's like, "Look, I can open this chamber," and I think she was just like, "A ghost will come out, a demon will come out," but she was like intrigued, and I had a very unsettling feeling in my stomach, and I immediately started praying to Jesus Christ. I was like, Jesus Christ, like, protect me. I don't know why she wants to do this. She opened it, and I felt a gush of wind come out, and like this demon was just released into the waking world. And then there was another cubby, and she's like, I'm going to do it to this one too. It's like a portal. And she opens it, and I didn't feel the same gush of wind. I didn't feel affected by the gush of wind of the demon that came out, but I was aware that like something was just unleashed, and it was not something good. It wasn't something pleasant. It wasn't something horrifying. It was just something like the feeling of dissatisfaction, is a low vibrational energy. Jealousy, envy, spite, feeling anger. I mean, anger in an unhealthy way, because there are good ways to feel anger. All it again, it felt like that kind of demon. That it's something very subtle and not like utterly demonic. Anyway, and then in the other portal that she opened, I felt the Holy Spirit. I felt the Holy Spirit, and that was the end of that dream. Um, those are prominent to me, I think, originally because you had mentioned the thing about the man that was like, come here, and it got me thinking about that dream about the demon, and then it got me thinking about that other dream about demons. But I don't always dream about demons. I have many other dreams.
Wow. Wow. Well, I tell people without gifts like you have to notice their dreams are either like blah blah blah, they're finishing the TV show they watch right before they went to bed, or they're going into an argument that they didn't complete with somebody, or sometimes whatever they're concerned about in their waking life, they're getting resolved in dreamland. So I tell them when you wake up, first 10 minutes is when you should write down your dream. And I like to write it down like this. One, what day is it? Two, where are you in the world? Three, what are you thinking about it in day-to-day life? What are you concerned about? What troubles do you have? And then four, the dream. Because sometimes the troubles that you're worried about in waking life are resolved inside the dream, and you just have to understand dream language because it comes in a metaphor.
Interesting. And I
I
will
mean,
say, I'd never thought about it that way, but it truly is at the forefront of my mind every single day about the way I guess demonic spirits just pollute people all the time. That is at the forefront of my, like a subconscious forefront.
Right. So that dream that you just explained where there was a portal for good and a portal for bad, and she's like, "Look, I can open this." Like it might be a metaphor for anybody's life. Like you can open up the nice side, you can open up the wicked side. You can
Yeah.
open up all of your troubles and worries, or you can have the Holy Spirit be love through you all day long. And it's a choice. It's a choice that you either open the door or not. Yeah.
And I think more than that, uh, on top of that, is acceptance of what comes with opening either or door as well.
Yes.
Because there are
Or
always
maybe
repercussions.
knowing maybe knowing that you're doing it.
Awareness. Yeah, yeah. Self
Because most
awareness. That's
people
a
are
big one.
like, life is happening to me. I can't control it. I don't have anything. Blah, blah, blah. You are opening the doors to joy or pain.
All the
You are
time.
choosing by what you're thinking about.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, we got to pop off now. But tell
Oh,
people how they can find you and what kind of work you do in the world.
oh my. You can find me at thehappyhealthywealthyway.com. That's my primary place. I
Say that
exist
again
in the
slower. The happy, healthy, wealthy way.com.
yes.
Okay. And we'll put it in the show notes for everybody.
Wonderful. Well, Miss D Lisa, it's been a great chat. Thank you so much for being the my first podcast ever.
I'm so happy to have you on here, and we'll talk soon, Daisy. It was delightful to get to know you.
Likewise. Thank you so much for your time.
Okay, bye, everybody.